Hi friends, welcome to webcam. In this video, I'm going to discuss triggers in SQL. So what is a trigger? So it is very similar to store procedure. Okay, so we can say it is a special type of store procedure. Store procedure. Okay, and we know why we use store procedure to perform certain action. Okay, we use store procedure to store the SQL code that can be executed later on. Okay, that can be executed later on. Similarly, triggers are a special type of store procedure which is called automatically, when an specific event is happened. Okay, event is happened. So this is what a definition of trigger. This is what a definition of trigger. So trigger is a special type of store procedure which is called automatically. Okay, means you do not need to call, you do not need to write a call statement and all to call the or to execute the trigger. Triggers will get executed automatically, but for that purpose, there something should be happen on database side. Okay, so that's why we say event. So now the question is, what is event? Now, what is question? Next question is, what is event in a database? Okay, so any action performed on the data or database object. So we can say data we know, okay, but database object is nothing but base object is nothing but table, then database. Okay, then functions, store procedure, views. These are the these are the database objects. And how we can perform the action? How we can perform the action on database objects? Yes, there is a way. Yes, there is a way. So we know DDL commands. DDL commands are used to perform the action on database objects. So we call that type of triggers is called DDL trigger. So create, alter, truncate, drop. These commands. Okay, when we use these commands in triggers, we can say that trigger is a type of DDL, data definition trigger. Then we perform certain actions on data also, right? So what we can do? So we are already familiar with DML commands. So same commands are used to categorize. So not increase, okay, it should be insert, delete, update. Insert, delete, update. So these are the commands which are used, okay, to define DML triggers. Okay, but these are the commands, meaning these commands perform an event, certain action on the database. Okay, then what is the event? Actually, what is the event in triggers? So whenever we perform the operation, you have to define the trigger when it should get called. Okay, when it should get called. So you can say your trigger should get executed before insert or after insert. So this is after insert. Okay, right. So insert is the operation, insert is the action. But if you want to call the trigger automatically, you are supposed to declare. When, meaning the timing of trigger execution. It can be executed before our action happen, or it can be executed after our action happens. Okay. Similarly, it will work for before or after delete. Similarly, it will work for before or after update. Okay, this is how triggers event work. And why triggers are used, or what is the use of triggers? What is the use of triggers? So triggers use is first to perform. Okay, as we know, we have seen that we can perform. I mean, triggers can get executed before insert. So based on that, we can say that to perform check check of values. Okay, to be inserted into table, we can use triggers, right? Because that event will we will use in this case. So in this case, we can use before insert event, and SQL will perform. That triggers will get called, and that will check for any specific value, for any field value, any column value. Okay, like this. Or if you want to perform perform the calculations of values. Okay, that is used in an update value. So basically, these are the two situations where most of the times triggers are used. Okay. Then what are the types of triggers? Types of triggers. Or we can say that instead of types, level of trigger. Okay, so triggers are categorized as a first row level trigger and statement level trigger. Okay, row level row level trigger row level trigger trigger. And how to define row level trigger? So you are supposed to write for each row while defining a trigger. Where to write, I will show you while creating a triggers. Okay, and another type of trigger is statement level trigger. Okay, so in this case, in while creating a statement level trigger, you do not need to worry about each row. So you don't need to specify this. Okay, now how to create a trigger? I'm going to create trigger. Okay, I'm going to create a trigger. Suppose I have two tables in my database. I have two tables in my database. So what I will do, I will just show you the records. For select star from student details. Select star from student details. Okay. If I execute this, you can see these many records are already there. Now, if I go to another table called deleted student, so you will see something might be there. Yes. So there is only one record. There is only one record. Now, I would like to create triggers. Okay. To create a backup or to create a backup of deleted student. So what I'm going to do, I am going to delete a record from this table. And the moment I delete the record, okay, that record should, before deletion, that record should get inserted into this table automatically. I do not need to do anything manually. Okay. And for that purpose, we can say create trigger. Create trigger. Okay. But before creating a trigger, you are supposed to define start point and end point of create trigger definition by using delimiter. Delimiter is, this is a starting point, this is the end point of your trigger definition. And I will say demo underscore demo trigger. Okay, so this is my trigger name. Now, once you defined create trigger name, what would be the timing of trigger, or when the trigger get called, you are supposed to declare. So I will say before delete. Okay, before delete is my trigger timing. Trigger timing. On what table it is going to delete? Okay, you are supposed to declare that also. So you can say before delete on, and I will say student detail. I'm just copying the table name here. Okay, before delete. And how this trigger should get called, whether for row level or for statement level. So I want this trigger for each row. I mean, for each of the row, this trigger should get executed. So I can define that using for each row, for each row. So every affected row, every deleted row, this will this trigger will get executed. Suppose if I do not write this, no matter how many rows will get affected, okay, no matter how many rows will deleted, this trigger will get executed only once. That is what nothing but statement level trigger, or sometime it may call as a table level trigger. Next, once you have defined a trigger definition, you are supposed to write your logic SQL code between begin and end statement, between begin and end statement. So I would like to write what action we would like to perform. Okay, so I would like to perform insert into insert operation, and where to insert? I would like to insert deleted student. I would like to insert the same into deleted student. Okay, fine. Great. Another condition is once we define insert into statement, you are supposed to mention the values. You are supposed to mention the value. Now, what are the different columns into which you are going to insert the value? Suppose if you don't want to back up all the rows, few rows, you can define column name. If you want to back up all the rows, you can use that also. So I'm going to mention the column name here. So I will say roll number is my first column, then name, then email, and then DOB. Okay, this is how it works. This is how it works. Okay, now this we are already familiar with the insert into statement, right? Values you are supposed to mention, but from which table? Okay, so now here we have two tables: deleted student, but how we can define the which column value or which value is updated here, right? Because this table has number of rows, right? What value you get? So whatever the value we are going to delete, that value can be referred as a old, okay, by using old keyword. And whatever we are going to perform, or whatever the values are there into a new table, that values are referred with new keyword. So we are going to insert old values into new. So you do not need to worry about new here, but you are supposed to mention here old dot roll number. So this old keyword is going to refer student details deleted row. This is how triggers designed. Okay, on next line I can say, sorry, yes, for next field, then I will say old dot. Okay, what is a old dot? Email. Okay, then old dot DOB. This old is going to refer. Why it is going to refer old for the student? Because that row is getting deleted. Okay, That was the old record which was already there, and this is what our new record. Okay, so this is how we can create a trigger. I can execute this, and if I execute, you can see that triggers got created. If I go to the student database on which we have created trigger, so here you can see that trigger got created. Okay, trigger got created. So now we can perform the operation. We can delete the row from student details table. Okay, so what is my agenda? I would like to delete the record. So I will write a delete query. Okay, delete command from which table? So I will pick the table name, student details. Okay, where you are supposed to mention, right? And I will say roll number is equal to 2. So this record I am going to delete. Roll number is equal to 2. If you go to deleted student table, we have only one record for roll number 1. Okay, we don't have any other record. But the moment I delete the record, this trigger get called, and this insert statement will insert a new record into this deleted student table for roll number 2. If I execute this, it got executed successfully. If I try to show you the record from this table, so we don't have a record for roll number 2. But if I go to this, you can see that one more record got added into deleted student table. Okay, this is how triggers helps. Okay, and it's up to you what is the timing you wanted to use based on. Suppose you are trying to insert the record. While inserting a record, if you want to check the values of any column, you can perform that action also here in this. If you are going to update any value, and on the basis of update, suppose you would like to store the old value backup, you can use this kind of triggers. So based on the requirement, you can create triggers as you want, or what action you want. You can perform the value check before inserting or before deleting, updating. Okay, any kind of action can be, any kind of logic can be built in the begin and end statement, and that will be executed when a certain event happens. And I already discussed what are the different events. So these are the before insert, after insert, before or after delete, before update, after update, before delete, after update. These are the kinds of event, and we have a two, what we can say, two triggers. Okay, sorry, two types of triggers or two levels of trigger. First one is a roll level trigger, another one is a statement level trigger. If you do not write, okay, how to create a statement level trigger? If I do the same, okay, but you cannot perform this operation if for statement level trigger, because this will not be there. For each row will not be there. But yes, you can do any single task. Okay, no matter how many rows will be deleted from this trigger based on this table or from this table, this trigger is executed only once. Executed only once. Okay, so this type of trigger is called statement level trigger. Why? Because for each row is missing here. If we do not mention for each row, this trigger will be executed only once on the happening of event. no matter how many rows will get deleted. Okay, this is how it's going to work. Just for as an idea, I talked on this. But most of the times these triggers are used. I hope you got a clear picture about triggers in SQL. What is the trigger? What are the types of triggers? Why triggers are used? Do not forget to subscribe webchamp. Okay, thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day.